Hey, hi everyone. Very good morning, and very sorry for the delay. So, yesterday we stopped at the point of talking about the database links, and as I told you, database link is basically a object which will be helping us in order to pull the table data which is there in the remote database. So, I have given an example also, like between Paytm and Airtel, how the things will work and all. So let us take one example in order to understand how we are going to implement this. So I have two databases. So I have a server by the name machine1, in which I have a database by the name ProdDB is running, and I have another machine, that is machine2, in which I have DevDB up and running. So my requirement is, in ProdDB I have a user by the name TMProd, and in DevDB I have a user by the name TMDev. So I want this TMDev user to pull the data from one particular table. Let's say the table name is T1. So I want this TMDev user to pull the data from this T1 table of this TMProd user. So for this we are going to create a database link between dev database and the prod database. Now the thing here is, while creating this DB link, or if we want to create a DB link, two things are mandatory. Number one, we need to have a TNS entry of prod DB in dev database. So means in machine 2 I need to have an entry of ProdDB, TNS entry of ProdDB. And number 2, we need to know the username and password of TMProd user. So whatever the TMProd user is there here in ProdDB database, so we need to know that username and password. Then only we will be able to create a database link. Now the thing here is, suppose TMProd is the main schema, okay, and once you have this username and password, once you create this database link, even it is possible that this TMDev user can access all other tables of TMProd. So basically we cannot stop that. So, but let's say your requirement is you want to access only T1 table, but you don't want to access all other tables like T2, etc. in this user. So in such case, directly there is no way to stop the user to retrieve the data. So what we can do is, we are going to create one more user. So with some other name, let's say TM test, let's say, and in this we will be creating a synonym, let's say by the name S1. And you know what is mean by synonym? Synonym is nothing but a alias name to the table, other table. So we will be creating a synonym by the name S1, which is going to point to the T1 table of TMProd user. And while creating the DB link in this dev database, instead of using the username and password of TMProd, we will be using the username and password of TM test. So obviously DB link will access TM test user, and in TM test we have only one object, that is a synonym. So using this DB link, if you try to access this synonym, then because this synonym is accessing only one table here, so you will not be able to retrieve other tables data like T2, T3, etc. So if you want a layer of security to be done, then you need to go ahead with this kind of example, because in real time you will be getting these kind of scenarios. So I'm just telling well before. So if somebody is asking for a particular table access through a DB link, first of all, you need to have a discussion with them and you need to understand whether they want to access only one particular table or whether they want to access all the tables. Suppose, let's say, if they say that we want access on all the tables of TM prod, then TM test user is not required. But if they say that we require access to only T1 table, we don't require access to other tables, then you need to go ahead with creating other user and creating a synonym. So you need to go ahead in such a way. So is this clear to everyone? Okay, so now I'm going to take the same thing. So here I have machine 1 in which already prod_db is up and running. And here I have a user. Okay, so we don't have a user, we'll create it.
Sorry to disturb, Pawan. I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So instead of creating a separate user and then giving access to the table, why
Hmm.
can't we directly give access to T1 instead of creating synonym to the table in separate user and doing it? That's the question which I have. Because when you have T1, T2, T3, T4, you said that you do not need to create a user and you do not need to create a synonym, right?
That
So
is
if you have
correct.
only one table, we can directly create,
Yeah, I think you missed that point. What I told is here, while creating the database link, you would be using the username password of the remote user. Suppose if you are using, the username and password of TM prod user, and you require access to only one table, it is not possible to restrict the user to have access to one table. So the moment you create the DB link with this TM prod user, TM dev user can access all the tables inside that schema. Okay. So, but
right?
if
Okay.
your requirement is only to access T1 table, but you don't want to access T2, T3 or other tables, then there is no way to stop that. I mean, through DB link. So, as an alternative, what we are going to do is we are going to create a separate user and then create a synonym which is pointing to this T1 table. And in DB link, instead of using the username and password of TM prod user, we'll be using the username and password of TM test user. So in that case, if TM dev is accessing this TM test, it will access only this synonym, whereas this synonym is pointing to only one table of TM prod.
Yeah, Pawan, but before that, you'll have to grant select on that table to TM test, then only, right? Otherwise, it won't work.
Yeah, of course, we need to grant it.
Yeah.
Obviously, grant is required because when I say creating the synonym, so without grant that will not work.
Okay, so this DB link is only to access a table. Can we also get the data from T1 prod into dev T1? And
Sorry?
can we export and import? Can we export and import the data
No.
using the
Export
DB
import
link?
is not possible through DB link because for that you require export access and import privileges should be there. So a normal
Uh,
user cannot do that.
I mean, not export import. It's like insert into T1, which is there in dev, as select star from prod T1
Yes,
at the rate DB link.
we can do that. You can create a new table in TMDev user with the help of the data which you can bring it from the TM prod user, or from TMDev user you can even insert the data into T1 table of TM prod. Like by sitting in machine 2, you can insert the data even in table T1 of machine 1 with the help of DB link. Because the moment you say like you create a DB link, it is like you'll be having all the access. So that's the reason if you don't want such kind of access, then you require to go ahead and use this TM test. Suppose I created this TM test user, I created this synonym, so I have granted only select permission, let's say. So then even if TMDev user tries to insert, or do something, it will not work because we have granted only select permission for to this TM test user.
Okay. Okay. So basically, we can get the data from prod to dev using the DB link, using
Yes,
that insert.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. If as a DBA, if application developer asks, if he comes with this requirement,
hmm
so what is our approach? Should we give him the access or should we confine him,
Yeah,
saying that it's required data?
as I said, we need to first of all have a discussion. So, for example, if let's say both the databases belongs to the same application team, then we can go ahead and we can give the access because they are the same team. But let's say dev database is belonging to one application and prod DB is belonging to another application. Then we need to talk to the prod DB application team and we need to tell them that we got a requirement like this to access a particular table. Then prod DB application team should agree for that. So because
Okay.
we don't know what is there inside T1 table. So might be T1 table contains some sensitive data. So we don't know that information. So that's the reason we always need to approach the team corresponding application team because they would be knowing what data it contains. So they are the right people to judge like whether we can go ahead and create this DB link or not.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
No problem. So any other questions from anyone? Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So I'm creating one user here. So I'm just creating some dummy tables in TM Prod user. So I'm just creating multiple tables. Okay, so I just created 3 tables in this prod DB TM prod user. So now I have machine 2. So just to differentiate between the prod DB and dev DB, I made it with white color, and here I have a database by the name TMDev. Sorry, not TMDev, it is devdb. So here I am going to create one user by the name TMDev. So I'm not creating any table over here in TMDev. So I just want to create a database link, and through that I want to pull the data from that T1 table. So as I said, to create the database link, so again database links are of 2 types. One is called as public database link, and the second one is called as private database link. So when I say public database link, it is like everybody can access it, just like you have public synonym and private synonym, you know the difference. So similarly we have that. So if we create a public database link, then every user will be able to access that database link, or if we go with a private database link, only specific user will be able to access it. But well, before that, as I said, we need to go ahead and put the TNS entry. So let us go to network admin location, and we need to modify TNS names. But well, before that, let me check the listener status in the prod DB. So there is a listener by the name listener underscore prod DB is up and running. So I'll just check the status to see the port number. So port number is 1525. So already I have an entry here. So if I don't have it, then I need to put an entry. Because I already am having it, I am just ignoring here. So just do a test by doing TNS ping. Yes, it is working fine. So TNS entry is there. Then we need to go ahead and have the username and password. So username and password we anyway know. So let us, now I am going to connect to the database as TMDev user, and let me try to create a database link. So this is the syntax of database link. So first line we need to say create database link and database link name. So here I am taking the database link name also as the same. Then we need to say in the second line connect to so and so user and its password. So if you can see here we are providing the remote username and password. And last line we are saying what is the connecting string that we need to use in order to make sure this DB link is working. So you can see here it is saying insufficient privileges and it is expected. Why? Because as a DBA I have never granted create database link permission to this TMDev user. So here when I created this user I have just granted only connect and resource permissions, but I have never granted create database link permission. So that is the reason you would get this. So obviously now we need to grant the permission. So there are two things here again. If you want that user to create a public database link, then you need to grant that privilege. For example, you need to say grant create database link to so and so user. Or if you want to go ahead with only private database link, then you need to grant that thing over there. So once again I am connecting as TMDev user. Now let me try to create the database link, and now because I have the permission it is working. So once we have created the database link, we need to test whether it is working fine or not. So the regular test that we do here is like this. So we need to we can select sysdate from this dual table, and we are going to give the database link name over there at the rate of the DB link name. So let me do one thing just to avoid confusion. Because it seems to be confusing both if I name it as prod DB. So let me name it as prod DB link. So now we need to say at the rate of this prod DB link. So you should able to see the date here or whatever. Now we can say our database thing is fine. So now we can able to pull the data from the tables of this TM prod user. So how we can retrieve? In the same way how we have issued the sysdate command. So we need to say tmprod.t1 at the rate of this prod db link. So whatever the data that you have, so I connected here as tmprod user, and I am selecting count. So you can see the count is matching, which means the DB link is working fine. So let's say you did some modification into this T1 table. I am just inserting some data. So obviously here when you run this select query, you should able to see the new row count. So as I was saying earlier, because you are directly accessing this schema, even from this user, TMDev user, you should be able to insert, update or delete the data. For example, you can say insert into tmprod.t1 at the rate of this select star from this. So which means by sitting in DevDB database, you are remotely inserting the data into your table. So now if you go and select here, you can see the row count has been increased. Means the data, the user has been inserted the data from that database to here. So this is also possible through DB link. As I said, if you don't want this kind of things to be done, then we need to go ahead with this concept of creating other user and granting only select permission. So when you have only select permission, obviously you cannot perform any DML changes. So that is about the DB link and its concept. So the first one is about the public and private, which I told you already. And another one is normally as a sysdba, you will be able to create an object in any other schema. Like for example, uh, here if I connect as a sysdba user, I can create a table in TMDev user. So DBA will be having that privilege. Okay, of course, quota we have not granted. So, or I can create a view as well. So this is also possible. So in this particular user, we can be able to create all those things. But as a sys user, you will not be able to create a database link in the other user. Like for example, I want to create a database link inside TMDev. So I cannot create database link like this. This syntax will not work. So if you want to create a database link, compulsory you need to log in as that particular user only. So if you want to create a database link in TMDev, then you need to connect as TMDev user, and then you need to go ahead and run the command of creating the DB link. So there is no possibility that you can do it normally, like using SysDBA. So this is one important thing that you need to remember. So anyone having any questions?
Hi, Pawan. One question I have, where we use that TM prod user while creating time? Maybe I missed that.
Yeah, while creating the DB link.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is the only we use for the, like, suppose source is dev and production like target. So we are only using this information temp like TMP or OD. None other than we use except TNS entry.
Yeah, that's it. Only two. The username and password and then the DNS entry.
Okay. 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 And the grant, everything I see the public and private that we are going to give in the source only in the dev database only. Am I right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Okay, so with the help of this DB link concept, uh, sometimes it might happen that you require data to be pulled from one database to another database, and you might require to keep on refreshing the data. So in such cases, you would be requiring another object, materialized views. So basically, the thing here is, so let's say you have a similar kind of thing. So you have database 1 and you have database 2. And in database 1, you have some table called T1, and in database 2, uh, you have the table with the same name, let's say T1 only. So your requirement is from this database 1, whatever the data is getting inserted, updated, or deleted, which means whenever this table is getting modified, the same data need to be cascaded into this table T1 of DB2 or database 2. So which means this table in database 1 and this table in database 2 are replicated copies. And we call this kind of situation is called as, of course, table level replication. If you do it for all the tables, then we call it as database level replication. But it is something like table level replication. So the basic idea is whatever the data you have in DB1 should be available in DB2 as well. So when you will be requiring these kind of things. So usually, let's say DB1, database 1 is sitting in a very remote location, so that accessing the data from database 1 is taking time because it depends on the network speed and all. Whereas database 2 is a local machine or local database. So then accessing from the local database will be faster. So let's take an example. You have one database in Hyderabad location, and you are sitting in Hyderabad location itself in Hyderabad office, let's say, and another database you have in Delhi. So obviously to both the databases you will be connecting through network only, but pulling the data, assuming that pulling the data from the location Delhi is a bit slow than accessing the data from the local database that is Hyderabad. So that's the reason in this kind of scenarios, like you would be preferring to pulling out the data from the table which is there in the Hyderabad location rather than every time pulling from the remote location. So this is one such example, and there could be lot many other reasons why the data need to be replicated from one database to another database. To give you an example, in banking sector, so most of the banks, they will be having their main branch as Mumbai, because stock exchange will be there. So that's the reason main bank's main branch will be there in Mumbai location, and in all other locations you will be having sub databases. So let's say Mumbai is the main database for a particular bank, let's say, and there are other locations like Bangalore, then Hyderabad, Chennai, etc. So what happens here is always the data from these local branches will get replicated to the main branch. Why? Because based on that, the stock exchange will be, uh, there will be impact on the stock exchange. Like if the branches are performing good, then obviously the main branch, data will be pushed on to the stock exchange, and their market share value will replicate. So either it will increase or decrease based on the performance. So for that, basically they require all these branches information to be replicated to the central database. So for this, they would be requiring the replication concept. So one such replication concept is using this materialized views. So as you can see in the diagram, from multiple databases, the data can be replicated into a central database. And these materialized views will be created with the help of DB-Link only. So without DB-Link, it is not possible to create the materialized view. Of course, when I say within two different databases. So the responsibility of creating the materialized views and maintaining the materialized views lies with the application team. But for just your practice, I have given an example here on how we can go ahead and we can do the replication. And when we are replicating the data, there are different ways that we can choose for. So taking the same example again, so let's say the very first time I have created materialized view and I am replicating the data. And let's say this table T1 is having 10,000 rows. So very first time what happens? All the 10,000 rows will be replicated onto the second database. So let's say the next day the table count increased to something like 25,000, assuming that is the fastest growing table. So now on the second day you have two options. If you say complete refresh, so if you say complete refresh of the materialized view, then whatever the 10,000 rows that were replicated yesterday, those 10,000 rows will be deleted, and once again Oracle will insert all the 25,000 rows. Similarly on the third day, so let's say the row count increased to 40,000. Again you are performing complete refresh. Then all the 25,000 rows whatever inserted will be deleted, and Oracle will insert again freshly 40,000 rows. Now one point you can understand is the time that it is taking to replicate the data will increase. For example, assuming the situation that for 1000 rows Oracle is taking 1 minute to load the data. So on the first day, to load or to replicate 10,000 rows, assuming it has taken 10 minutes. So on second day, it will take 25 minutes, and on third day, it will take 40 minutes. So if you leave like this, suppose if you have 10 lakh rows at one stage, if you have 10 lakh rows and if you are performing a complete refresh, then you can understand it will take 1 lakh minutes or 10 lakh minutes. So which means a never ending process. So definitely with the size of the data increasing, complete refresh will not work. So for that, Oracle has found an alternative called fast refresh. So in fast refresh, so on the first day, the very first time, obviously all the 10,000 rows will be replicated. On second day, when the row count is 25,000, because we have already replicated 10,000 rows yesterday, so this information will be recorded in something called materialized view log. So materialized view log is, by looking at the name materialized view log, don't think that it is a text file or something like alert log. It is a table only. So in the table, we are going to record the information that 10,000 rows have been already replicated. So when on day 2, when you are replicating this 25,000, Oracle will refer to this materialized view log, and it will understand that okay, out of 25,000 rows, already 10,000 rows are already transferred, so it will replicate only the remaining 15,000 rows. Similarly, on third day, when the row count is 40,000, because, and again here once it is updated, your MV log will get updated. So on third day, because already 25,000 rows are updated or already replicated, it will just pass only 15,000. So which means it is like a incremental way. Incrementally you are going ahead and you are doing the replication. So this is going to take less time when compared to the complete refresh. And a combination of this fast refresh and complete refresh is called as force refresh. So force refresh will first try to do the fast refresh, and if it doesn't work, then it is going to perform the complete refresh. So how these things will work, like how that MV log will store the information and on what basis it is going to specify that already these rows are refreshed and already, these rows are pending. How it is going to do? It is going to happen with the help of row ID. So as I said, these are the steps that we need to look at in order to go ahead and create the materialized view. So here we are taking two databases. One is ProdDB and another one is TestDB. So instead of TestDB, I will take DevDB. So first it is saying we need to connect as sysdba, then we need to create one user and then grant the permissions and all. So all these steps we have already done. So basically it requires one table to be created with bulk data. So we already have that, sorry, we already have that here. So with this particular row count. So now on TestDB, it is asking to create one user. So we already have one user. Then we need to grant the permission, connect resource, create database link, and create materialized view. So out of these four, we have already granted connect resource and create database link. So DB link is also ready. So I will grant this create materialized view. So I will say grant create materialized view to TMDev user. Then quota is already there. Then we need to connect as that dev user or test user. And here it is saying we need to create the database link. We have already done that. Then testing is also done. So now we are going to create the materialized view. So this is the syntax, simple syntax of creating the materialized view. So it says create materialized view name, then build immediate means you are asking to replicate the data immediately using refresh force. As I said just now, refresh force is going to first do fast refresh. If it doesn't work, then it is going to do the complete refresh. So let me create this one. So I'm connecting as dev user, TMDev user. Of course, my DB link name is different. Okay, so materialized view created. So when I say materialized view, many people might be an impression that it is a view. No, it is a table only. So just the name is there as materialized view, but it is a table itself. So now, once you have the materialized view created, there are two things, or there are two ways to replicate the data. One is to what I say, like to replicate the data manually. Like every time manually you need to run the command in order to replicate the data. Or number two, you need to write a program in such a way that like every 5 minutes the replication should happen, or every 1 hour the replication should happen, something like that. So let us. So I'm inserting some more data into this table. So committed now. So now the row count is something like 5,81,000, but here it would be old value only because, as I said, we need to refresh it manually. Okay. So we have something called gather stats. So in performance tuning, we'll be discussing about this. So now you can see after refreshing, the data is getting replicated. The same count, whatever we have. So it is getting replicated here. So as I said, if you want to have this, you know, in a regular way, like in an interval time frame, then you need to create or you need to specify the time thing like this. So for example, here if you take for every 1 minute, the refresh will happen. So the moment you execute this, so automatically every 1 minute the refresh will happen. So you need to execute both of these commands. So I'm not doing that. So so that is how we can work with materializer views. Now the thing is, as I said, all these things we are not going to do as a DBA. So we can provide the permission to create the materializer view to the application team, or they might give us the script and we can execute it on behalf of them. So the thing what we would be requiring is, so sometimes application team will tell you that the materializer view refresh is happening very slow. Like every time it is taking 10 minutes, now it is taking 30 minutes. So they have such kind of thing. So if at all you get such kind of issue that materializer view refresh is happening slow, then you need to check the size of the materializer view and materializer view log. So you need to get the size of both and you need to compare the size. So usually it is expected that materialized view log size also will be equals to the materialized view. So if due to some reason materialized view log size is more than the materialized view size, then you need to drop and recreate the materialized view log. So we'll be getting the syntax. So the syntax, everything is available in this URL. So even how to check and all those things are there. So that is how we can go ahead and do the things with respect to materializer view. So any questions over here?
Yeah, Pawan. So I see that material view you create for table level. So can we do it schema level? Because I like
Di-
if the requirement comes set of tables.
Direct schema level is not possible. We need to do it table by table only.
Oh, okay. So by any chance, this one they use for DR also, or for DR they only do for backup and recovery?
Frankly to say, this should not be used as a DR solution, because if something went wrong and the data is not replicated properly to the other database, and something happens to your main database, then it will be in a situation like where you don't have data anywhere available. So this cannot be used as a DR solution, frankly.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Thank you.
No problem. So any other questions from anyone? Okay, so that is all we have for today, and tomorrow we'll be discussing about Oracle utilities, so which are quite important for us as a DBA. So we'll talk about them. So thanks everyone for joining the call, and let's meet tomorrow at the same time. Have a nice day till then.